गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन, नमस्ते। आज हम मेकिंग ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पढ़ेंगे जो इंडियन पॉलिटी का पार्ट है। ये यूपीएससी एंड अदर गवर्नमेंटल एग्जाम्स के लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है जो कि इंडिया में ऑब्वियसली। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। डिमांड फॉर अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रेम्ड बाय अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट India's political destiny should be determined by Indians themselves. This was, however, given by Mahatma Gandhi as तो बहुत लोग सोचते हैं कि 1935 में इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का आइडिया पुट फॉरवर्ड किया गया था, लेकिन ये शुरुआत ये कह के कि इंडिया's political destiny should be determined themselves. Next point, Swaraj was not free gift of British Parliament. It will be a declaration of Indians' full self-expression. ताकि अपने आप को फुल्ली एक्सप्रेस कर सके, हमारी हेरिटेज, हमारी कल्चर दुनिया से पैदा ना होते। मतलब इंडियंस हैव देयर ओन हेरिटेज इन रिच कल्चर, डाइवर्स वेज, ये दुनिया को पता चले। तो एक इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आना चाहिए। दिस वाज द पॉइंट. The failure of statutory commission and roundtable conference that led to enactment of Government of India Act in 1935 to satisfy Indian aspirations accentuated the demand, and it was officially asserted by National Congress in 1935. So बहुत लोग जो सोचते रहते हैं कि 1935 में शुरुआत, हाँ 1935 में इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस ने वो डिमांड जो थी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का, वो मतलब हाई लेवल पे वो लोग लेके गए थे in 1935. Next, in 1938, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने definitively मतलब एक statement दिया उन्होंने that says the National Congress stands for independence and democratic state. It has been proposed that the Constitution of Free India must be framed without outside interference by a Constituent Assembly elected on the basis of adult franchising. So, National Congress पॉलिटिकल पार्टी थी, वो इंडिपेंडेंस स्टेट को एडवोकेट करती थी। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन चाहिए था फ्री इंडिया के लिए, और ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विदाउट एनी आउटसाइड इंटरफेरेंस के हिसाब से। आउटसाइड इंटरफेरेंस मोस्ट द केसेस इट हाईलाइट्स ब्रिटिश इंटरफेरेंस, तो ब्रिटिशर्स का कोई हाथ नहीं इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को फ्रेम करना। सो नाउ गेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. The Cripps Mission. The Cripps Mission में कुछ proposals देखने को मिले. The demand, however, was registered by British government until September. Obviously, Britishers नहीं. In 1940, the coalition government in England recognized that Indians should themselves frame a constitution for free India. When Japanese were at the doors on India in 1942, they sent Sir Stafford Cripps. के नाम पे the Cripps Mission. ये एक member थे cabinet के with a draft of proposals to be adopted at the end of the war for Constitution of India that provides Indian National Congress and Muslim League come to an agreement to accept it. So ये थे कुछ proposals जो Sir Stafford Cripps लेके आए थे इसके पास वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के एंड में, और ब्रिटिशर्स ये proposals इंडियंस को मानने. The first one, Constitution was to be framed by elected Constituent Assembly of India. लोगों ने ये पॉजिटिव, शायद थोड़ी पॉजिटिव की कि इलेक्टेड कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली होना चाहिए और वही लोग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फ्रेम करें. Now let's go to the second part, which says constitutions would give India dominion status, that is equal partnership of Britain. So हमारी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है वो इंडिया को डोमिनियन स्टेटस देगी, और ये डोमिनियन स्टेटस ये सजेस्ट करता है कि इक्वल पार्टनरशिप होगी ब्रिटिश और इंडिया के बीच कॉमनवेल्थ नेशन. So third point, there should be an Indian union comprising all provinces and states. But if any province or state was not prepared to accept the constitution that they will make, it would be free to retain its constitutional position existing at that time, and with such non-acceding provinces, the British government could enter into separate constitutional arrangements. साफ बात ये है कि इंडियन जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली इलेक्ट हो गई लोगों ने फ्रेम किया अगर कोई प्रोविंस और स्टेट उस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को एग्री नहीं कर पा रही है तो वो लोग they can avoid it. They can avoid it and their constitutional position जो उस टाइम पे एग्जिस्ट कर रही थी मतलब उन लोगों ने जो भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ये जो भी लॉज एंड रूल्स रेगुलेशन ने बना के रखे थे वो वो लोग मेंटेन कर सकते हैं वो वही उसी के रिगार्डिंग वो लोग रह सकते हैं लेकिन इन सब जो प्रोविंसेस या फिर स्टेट्स हैं ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट के साथ separately constitutional arrangements. However, the two parties मतलब सबसे जो important leading political parties उस वक्त के मुस्लिम लीग एंड द इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस वो दोनों एग्री नहीं कर पाए इन तीनों प्रपोजल्स को फर्स्ट मुस्लिम लीग ने कुछ डिमांड्स रखे या कुछ प्रपोजल्स रखे कि first India should be divided into autonomous states along communal lines and some provinces marked by Mr. Jinnah should form a state called Pakistan. There should be two constituent assemblies, one for Pakistan. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah का ये कहना था कि कुछ states में in that time in that India उस इंडिया के टाइम में तो कुछ ऐसे स्टेट्स थे जिनके पॉपुलेशन में मेजॉरिटी ही मुस्लिम लोग तो मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना का ये कहना था कि मुस्लिम लोगों को एक सेपरेट स्टेट देना चाहिए so they wanted a separate state and separate province which should be later named as Pakistan. After the rejection of the Cripps proposal followed by dynamic Quit India campaign launched by Congress, various attempts were made to reconcile the two parties which were made, including the Shimla Conference held at the instance of Governor General Lord Bevel. Quit India campaign कांग्रेस ने लॉन्च किया था फिर वेरियस अटेम्प्ट्स आए कि दोनों पार्टी को एग्री करना होगा एक कॉमन सेट ऑफ गोल्स या फिर कॉमन प्रपोजल्स को लेके एक एग्जांपल इन लोगों ने और दिया है दैट इज द शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस लेकिन हम सब जानते हैं कि Next is the cabinet delegation. Cabinet delegation में सारे तो fail हो गए, right? Obviously, all these having failed, the British cabinet sent 3 of its own members, including Cripps himself, to make another serious attempt. So इस बार मतलब बहुत सारे मिशन तो फेल हो गए मतलब बहुत सारे प्रपोजल्स फेल हो गए एग्री नहीं कर सके तो ब्रिटिश कैबिनेट ने इस बार खुद अपने 3 मेंबर्स को सेंड किया जिनमें क्रिप्स भी शामिल थे टू मेक अनदर सीरियस इस बार और सीरियसली किया गया लोगों की तरफ से कि दोनों पार्टी एग्री हो सके But the cabinet delegation also failed in making the two major parties to come into an agreement and were accordingly obliged to put forward their own proposals which were announced simultaneously in India and in England on 16th of May 1946. जब दोनों एग्री नहीं हो पा रहे थे फिर दोनों को खुद के प्रपोजल्स फॉरवर्ड करने मतलब अधिकार दोनों ने ये प्रपोजल्स फॉरवर्ड किए भी और ये प्रपोजल साइमल्टेनियसली इंडिया और इंग्लैंड दोनों में सुनाया गया ऑन 16 मई 1940 ये प्रीलिम्स में आ सकता है The proposals of cabinet delegation sought to effect a compromise between the Union of India and its division, while the cabinet delegation definitely rejected the claim for a Muslim state. Muslim state, the scheme which they recommended involved the virtual acceptance of principle underlying the claims of Muslims. बहुत सारे claims दिए थे Muslim League. So the cabinet delegation obviously उन लोगों ने reject कर दिया लेकिन एक वर्चुअल एक्सेप्टेंस जैसे कि वर्चुअल रियलिटी होती है उसी तरह लोगों ने मतलब कैबिनेट मेंबर्स ने कहा कि हम करेंगे लेकिन रियलिटी में वो एक्सेप्ट कर नहीं है तो उन्होंने कुछ recommendations put forward किए there would be a union of India comprising both British India and the states and having jurisdiction over subjects of ये तीनों subjects के ऊपर union control रहेगा foreign affairs defense and communication all residuary powers would belong to provinces and states मतलब जो provinces और states थे उस वक्त उन लोगों के पास ये कंट्रोल इंडिपेंडेंटली नहीं होगा इनका कंट्रोल यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया को जाएगा और बाकी सारे जो भी मैटर्स है बाकी सारे जो भी पावर्स है वो उनके पास है प्रोविजन या फिर प्रोविंसेस या फिर स्टेट के पास नाउ लेट्स सी द सेकंड पॉइंट द यूनियन वुड हैव अ एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड अ legislature consisting of representatives of the provinces and the state but any question raising a major communal issue in legislature would require for its decision a majority of representatives of two major communities present and voting as well as majority of all the members present and voting. So उन लोगों का ये कहना था कि any questions which arise major communal issue या फिर other some issues वो अगर arise हुआ तो मेजर कम्युनिटीज को जाना पड़ेगा उन्हें वोट करना पड़ेगा और फिर द मेंबर्स वोट विल डिसाइड क्या उस इशू को रिगार्डिंग मतलब कम्युनल इशू को रिगार्डिंग थर्ड पॉइंट द प्रोविंसेस वुड बी free to form groups with executive and legislature executive and legislature के साथ जो provinces है और states है वो लोग जाके बात कर सकते हैं और रेस्पेक्टिव टॉपिक्स जिनके बारे में बात करना चाहते हैं वो जाके बात कर सकते हैं फिर ग्रुप ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस भी फॉर्म कर सकते हैं ये उनके पास अधिकार है The scheme laid by the cabinet mission was however recommendatory and it was contemplated by mission to be adopted by an agreement between the two major parties. So जो दो major parties है INC and Muslim League उन दोनों को ये रेकमेंड किया गया था कि दोनों एग्री हो लेकिन a curious situation arose after an election for forming the constitution. Election हुआ पर election के बाद एक unexpected situation arose. The Muslim League joined the election and its candidates were Muslim League के members ने join किया election लेकिन candidates वापस आके return हो गए. Difference of opinion had in the meantime arisen between Congress and regarding clauses of interpretation of grouping clauses, the proposals of cabinet mission. तो हमने देखा कि उन लोगों ने जो proposals मतलब 3 points है discuss वहाँ पे third point पे कहा था कि वो लोग groups या organizations form कर सकते हैं कोई हो गई तो grouping clauses में दोनों के बीच कांग्रेस मुस्लिम लीग के बीच थोड़े not misunderstanding but दोनों के opinions अलग-अलग थे. The British government intervened at this stage and explained to the leaders in London that they upheld the contention of the League as correct and on 6 December 1946 the British government published the following statement. ये statement important है. Should a constitution be framed by a constituent assembly in which a large section of Indian population had been represented, His Majesty's government would not contemplate forcing such a constitution upon any unwilling part of the country. So, हमारे देश का अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऐसे फ्रेम हो कि हमारे देश मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी का इंटरेस्ट के बारे में सोचा ही ना गया ये This is not acceptable. So the British government ने भी मुस्लिम लीग की बात को नजरअंदाज नहीं वो बात एक्सेप्ट की मुस्लिम लीग जो कह रही है वो सच कह रही है Thus, For the first time, the British government acknowledged first two constitutions, two states. On 9th December 1946, the Constituent Assembly first meet कब हुआ था 1946 को Constituent Assembly first meet हुई थी. The League members did, Muslim League members did, and Muslim League members के मतलब मुस्लिम लीग के मेंबर्स कोई नहीं थे फिर भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली फंक्शन करती. The Muslim League next urged to dissolve Constituent Assembly of India because it was on the sections of people in India. British government by their statement of 20th February 1947 declared that British rule in India would in any case end by June 19. इन लोगों का मियाँ नहीं हो गया. After that, they would transfer authority to के बाद Britishers. If by that time a fully representative constituent assembly failed to work out constitution in accordance with the proposals made by cabinet delegation. So cabinet delegation ने और जून 1948 के पहले बना है और दोनों को मतलब एग्री होना पड़ेगा इसके रिगार्डिंग. HMG will consider to whom the powers of central be handed full to some form of central government for British India or in some areas to the existing provincial government or in such other way as seems most reasonable and in the Indian people. But the Muslim League did not consider. Muslim League agree नहीं हुए किसी भी पॉलिसी या किसी भी प्रपोजल को लेके उन लोगों का बस यही मोटिव था कि हमें पाकिस्तान बनाना. Now, the British government next sent Lord Mountbatten as the Governor General in order to expedite the preparations for the transfer of power, for which they had fixed a rigid time. Lord Mountbatten brought the Congress and two provinces of Punjab and partition. So, पंजाब एंड बंगाल के दिए जाएंगे और मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी provinces में the league would then get its Pakistan में मिल जाए. The cabinet mission which the cabinet mission had minus Assam, East Punjab and West Bengal. Congress, which had been representing the Muslims, would get rest of India. So in सारे regions के all East Punjab यहाँ जहाँ मतलब Muslims की population के while the Congress, which was the representative of people on other than Muslims, would get the rest of India. और कांग्रेस को बाकी जहाँ Muslims minority. The actual decisions to whether two provinces were to be partitioned was left to the assemblies of these two provinces. According to The पंजाब और के मुस्लिम लीग ने होप इन लोगों से के जो मेंबर्स थे वो groundbreaking plan was given formal shape by a statement by the British government on 3rd June 1975 declaring that the provincial legislative assemblies all in Punjab, excluding European members, could each be asked to meet in two, one representing the Muslim and the other that is representing the rest of the province. So Punjab वो लोग मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी the rest of the वो लोग and the rest of the province separate. दोनों को separate कर दिया. The members of the two parts of the legislative assembly will be voting whether they want to be partitioned in the province. If majority of either party favor, division will take place and each part of the legislative assembly will decide on behalf whether it would join the existing or new and separate constitution. It proposed that there Northwestern Indian province majority as to whether they would join India. So in areas को भी authority की गई थी कि वो लोग खुद choice करें उन्हें इंडिया का पार्ट बनना है या statement declared HMG's legislation during the current session. So HMG's government to introduce legislation during the current session. This year, Dominion status basis to one or two successor authorities according to taken as a result of that. The result of the vote according to the above plan was on conclusion the representatives of Muslim majority areas of the two provinces that were West Punjab and East Bengal voted for partition and for joining the new constitutional assembly. So उन लोगों ने agree किया West Bengal, East Bengal, हाँ, part from being on 26 July 1947, the governor of a separate assembly for 3rd June 1947 of the Indian Independence Act. The so the British Parliament lost and this bill was placed Indian Independence. इस बिल को ये रखा 10 and 8. The bill which was introduced on the parliament में and came into force from the day. The most outstanding characteristics relating to the government, such as Government of India 1835, sought to lay down a constitution for the governance of the legislative will of the British Parliament, but this Act of 1947 any such. Instead, from 15th of August 1925, is decree in place of India as defined by government. So, जो India government of India, जो India India 1925, जो easy injured. So now India has been and there would be set up two independent dominions known as Islam. So, under the Act, the dominion of India, including the provinces, provinces of Sindh, Baluchistan, West Punjab, East Bengal, and Northwest. हम ये सब पाकिस्तान की फेवर में थे, so they were not. Next, the Constituent Assembly, which had been undivided in 1946. Constituent Assembly कब भी बन गई थी? ये फिर 14 फिर stay ये Now, on 1947, the definition of India is something different, and on 1946, the definition as it was in the composition of the Constituent Assembly. So, Constituent Assembly to form with the Constitution. Composition. Composition, it should be remembered that it had been elected by indirect election. If lower house on the scheme recommended by cabinet, the essential scheme the seats in each province were distributed among three main communities. The main communities उनके proportional. Next, members elected their own Third, the method of selection gives choose. As a result of the partition under the plan 3rd June 1907, the Constituent Assembly was set up for Pakistan. So Pakistan का जो Constituent Assembly है वो हुआ 3rd June 1947. There was a fresh election in areas में जो कि उन लोगों के पास fresh elections As a result, the Constitution of these 284 November 1940. Ours is control constitution. ये बात इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारी इंडियन हमारे पार्लियामेंट में ये next drafting of the constitution salient principles of the proposed constitution is like union power committee general discussion of the reports of these committees here. The drafting committee was under the chairmanship of Ambedkar, father of the Indian Constitution. उनके chairmanship he draft अगली बैठक हुई नहीं and after several discussions was completed in Constituent Assembly again said on 17th 14th of November 19th 18 for a third reading. Reading कब हुई थी November 1940. Second reading हुई थी 17th. Third reading हुई थी 14th November 1949 को. फिर documents finalized किए गए 26 November which date Constitution. Oh, actually, it should be received. Receive the signature of the President of Assembly and declare. Post. Obviously, there are many factors in preparing a constitution. Great number of people. Every every individual. Dates of commencement of the provision of constitution, provisions relating to equals 5 to 9. Article 366 फिर प्रोविजनल पार्लियामेंट के बारे में ये था provisional parliament both an affirmation by the President Article 16. Transitional provisions now omitted. Transitional तो constitution. The rest of the provisions who came into force on 26 January 1950 and that's the Republic Day on that day. This date is referred to in the Constitution. Date of obviously celebrate it as India. If you like the video, please do share, like, subscribe, and if someone has any part of it or any process, feel free to comment down and ask what problem I hope you guys enjoyed. In the next video that I solution will come and the reason there's a gap is I'm preparing India's for UPSC. Thank you.